Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GoonerAFC channel. This is the next update about our season. Last time I spoke, it was about the. It was right after the North London derby. We were 8 games in, 6 league games, and there was the update about the Merino injury and also Ødegaard's ankle twist. So, what has happened in the meantime? We have had a good game against PSG, where Havertz, I think it was, scored a great header, and then the free kick of Saka, which was not really deflected, but the keeper was distracted, so that went in. So it was a 2-0 win at the Emirates. And then afterwards, we went to Southampton and won 3-1, or well, it was an away game. I guess we needed a little wake up call from Southampton because they scored at the beginning of the second half, and then we started to actually fire up and get into second and third gear basically. We played Havertz in the midfield with Jorginho, which was kind of an adaptation due to the two injuries, as I had mentioned before, of Merino and Ødegaard, um, which worked out more or less well. Then we had a very, very disappointing game against Bournemouth, where we lost because Saliba got a further red card for us. Um, which seems to be an ongoing issue this season. I'm not sure whether Arteta wants the Arsenal players to be more aggressive, and that's why we get more yellow and also red cards. But we have already had 3 of them, and they have cost us dearly so far. So yeah, I think I'm gonna get into this a little bit later in the video as well. Um, After this Bournemouth game, we had a win again in the Champions League against Shakhtar at home, even though it was not very, very convincing. We played Trossard in the 10th position, so he was moved around a little bit again, and yeah, the performance was more or less, but it was still enough to win against Shakhtar. The next game was the 2-all draw against Liverpool. A kind of a weird game because we had a great goal from Saka, where he sprints down the right hand side, stops it, and fires in the first post close to the goalkeeper's side, which also marked his 50th Premier League goal. I think he's top 2 or top 3 even of the least amount of games needed to score 50 Premier League goals for Arsenal. So what a great achievement from Bukayo Saka. Amazing, congratulations. Unfortunately, it was not enough because then Van Dijk basically he beat us with our own weapons because he scored from a corner with a header, which is what we should normally do. But then, thankfully, we had the first goal for Arsenal from Mikel Merino after delivery from Rice. But unfortunately, Salah again scored the equalizer pretty late on. And then there was more drama to it because Havertz scored a goal which was then disallowed for offside, but there was quite some controversy going on about this goal because some people said that it should have been allowed, but I think, well, the Liverpool players, they had already stopped playing because I think they heard a whistle, so that's why it doesn't bring anything speaking about it any longer, but it was an unfortunate draw for sure, yes. Next, we had the 0-3 win against the Preston North End in the Cup with a goal from Wanieri, which was probably the highlight from it. It was an expected win against the lower league side, so we could advance to the next stage, and we are still in this race for a further trophy. Yeah. Next one was the very, very unfortunate the 1-0 loss to Newcastle with an early goal from Alexander Isak. I mean, I say unfortunate not because we were actually playing well, but simply because we had a good run of form over there in Newcastle. It's always a very, very tough ground. Um, but yeah, it was not 100% convincing, and it just put us further back in the league table. Obviously, we played slightly different in a 4-4-2 formation. Well, at least officially on the sheets before the game. Due to the absence of Ødegaard, I think Arteta is playing around or was playing around with a couple of positions and options to kind of well, compensate or replace. I mean, it's impossible to replace Ødegaard, but still, he tried a few things, and it did not bear any fruits in that game. We went on to Milano to play against Inter, where we lost again in the Champions League with a penalty from Çalhanoğlu, I guess it was. I think it was. I unfortunately could not see the game, but I was told, and I saw the highlights, that we were playing decently. We had a couple of chances. So performance-wise, it was slightly better, but we lacked percussion on and finishing qualities, unfortunately. And then last but not least, just the last game where we had the 1-1 draw against Chelsea, where I think we generally slightly had the edge over them, even though Chelsea, they were dangerous at times. They have a few very good players. But I think we should have made more out of our chances. I remember one chance from Martinelli. Thankfully, he scored afterwards. Otherwise, I think he would have gotten a lower rating because again, he couldn't convert an opportunity, a goal opportunity. And also, I think Merino could have scored with this one cross that got slightly deflected, if I remember correctly. And anyway, I think Merino had a pretty good game and was slightly underrated. I felt he put himself in good positions. I think he was once or twice very close to having a great opportunity or even scoring. And I think he went a little bit under the radar. So that was positive signs for me. I know Sterling was not allowed to play against his old club, but still, I feel like we're not seeing that much of him so far. Originally, I thought it was going to be a good signing, a good replacement for Nelson, but if we look at Fulham, which is basically a reunion of former Arsenal players, what Nelson, Emil Smith Rowe, Iwobi, what they're doing in the attacking part of the pitch. Sometimes it makes me wonder what could have happened if we kept Nelson and had him play every once in a while on the attacking third once Saka is tired or gets a knock like he got in the last game against Chelsea, which was, as it always is in a London derby, was a little bit feisty. It was pretty rough, but I think all in all it was a fair game. We should have won. We should have won to give us obviously a better chance to fight towards the upper end of the table. So what does this mean? So we went from 8 games total with 0 losses to now, if I calculated correctly, 17 games in total with 3 losses and 5 draws. Some of the draws came against City away, against Liverpool at home, and also, as I had just spoken about, against Chelsea away. What does that mean? Like, what's the situation looking like? How do I see, and how does the fan base see the current form and the current situation of Arsenal? Obviously, the statistics they have gone worse. So we went for not having been beaten in the first 8 to 10 games to now having been beaten 3 times, and also quite a few draws already. So in the table, we are now 9 points off of Liverpool. We have lost 2 league games already, and generally our performances have not been amazing. Within the community, I feel like some of the fans they're losing a little bit the patience, or they think the experiment with Trossard is not working out. They feel Raheem Sterling is not playing and not living up to the expectations. They feel like we should give Waneri more opportunities, and also that Arteta does not necessarily get it right and is a little bit stubborn in the sense of like trying to, for instance, fit Trossard into the midfield, or like pulling back Havertz to the midfield where he has had played once or twice now during this period, because he felt like that was his best option. So all in all, the current wind or the current atmosphere around the Arsenal is a little bit hesitant, or some people are maybe a little bit afraid of going back to old habits, if you wanna call it this way. However, I feel like there are a few points that we need to take into consideration. First of all, we had three red cards that we got in league games, and in all of them, we either drew or even lost the game afterwards. We had a few injuries to key players, like as I told, Odegaard, Rice, and so on and so forth, Merino. And we had very, very tough fixtures at the beginning of the league with away games to big teams. That's a couple of points that we need to take into consideration. Now, people are going to say, obviously, the Premier League is hard. Most of the games will be hard. Most of the away games are hard. So this is going to continue. Second of the points, obviously, is injuries will always happen. I think sometimes, especially among the Arsenal community, we rely too much on players, and we think now we're untouchable, and nobody's going to get injured like last season, when we were comparatively lucky and we had no major injuries to big players. But they will happen, and we need to be prepared for it. And maybe, who knows, this time around, when Arteta could try out a couple of he needed to, out of necessity. He needed to try a couple of different formations, because there were players missing. Maybe he knows a little bit better now what to do in case this happened again. I mean, fingers crossed that it doesn't, especially that we don't get any injuries to key players such as Gabriel or Odegaard again. But you never know, and you need to be ready for it. So hopefully, this is gonna help us throughout the next part of the season. I also feel like that Marino has settled now. He's back from the injury. He has trained. He is starting to get the hang of the system. He's starting to put himself into better positions. He has scored important goals, such as the one against Liverpool. So hopefully this looks good, or prepares him for the next couple of games, and gives him the self-esteem. Performances are improving again. Inter was already a more positive performance, at least, even though the result didn't reflect that. The Chelsea game was better again. We have Odegaard back, which you could see immediately the big effect that he has on the team, because he was running his socks off already after being out for, I don't know how many weeks it was, 6 weeks or something. Normally players take some time to get back their rhythm. It didn't seem to be the case for him, so that's very, very promising. Hopefully it stays long. May it continue, obviously. And we can work on the discipline thing. I mean, 3 red cards already now, 11 games in. That's way too much. I mean, way too many. You can have 1 or maybe 2 during a whole season, but you shouldn't have more. So definitely, if we work on the discipline thing, this is going to improve as well. How do I see the next few games playing out? I mean, there's going to be an international break again, once more. But I think we have both. Like we have reasons to be excited and very cautiously optimistic, because all in all the curve is slightly showing up again. Trends seem to be improving. Players seem to come back. Um, so that bodes well. On the other hand, we already have quite a big deficit. I mean, 9 points towards Liverpool is a lot after 11 games. And I hear people saying, well, Liverpool is still riding the wave of the new manager, and that there at some point it's going to settle in, and maybe they will lose a little bit their enthusiasm, and maybe there's going to be a loss. I'm not so sure about it. So we'll see how this pans out. But what I do know is that we simply need to focus on ourselves, get the performances right, start playing again the way we did towards the end of last season, and hopefully things start clicking again. So far this season, we have not been incredibly effective. But one positive thing is that we could always rely on the defense. We're not conceding too many goals. It just seems to be an issue towards more up front, how to click, how to overlap, how to create these spaces and options, and then hopefully we find our creativity again, and also start putting more goals in. What do I think could happen in the winter, in the transfer winter? I'm not so sure yet. I'm not sure about Gabriel. I'm not sure about Sterling. I feel like if the performances and their form continues like this, Arteta might look into signing somebody else, somebody additionally. And also it will depend how we are, how the league table looks like towards the end of the year. If we can kind of cement and have some good trends and go on a small run and not lose barely any games, um, we actually might go for somebody, an attacking player in the winter. I mean, the most obvious option, or the option most talked about, is obviously a Swedish fellow, Scandinavian fellow from Haaland and Ødegaard and Isak, in the form of Victor Gyökeres, who is absolutely going nuts in the Portuguese league. I would definitely welcome such a signing. The question is whether it will happen, because he seems to be very very expensive, at around about 70 million from what I've euros from what I've read. So I'm not sure whether Arsenal do have the money, but I think it would make sense. I'm not sure how often he has played on the right hand side. Normally he's a central striker. Ideally, maybe it would be good to have somebody who can play on the right side as well. But what we could do is, if this doesn't work, just go for a central striker, because we have been looking for one for a while. I mean, I remember the Seskos, the Vlahovics, the Gyökeres, the Osimens, the Boniface. The list goes on and on. Tony and so on. Solanke, and we have not bought any of those. So if we simply went for a real central striker and then moved Gabriel Jesus to the right, and gave Sterling back to Chelsea, that would already look much better, I would say. But we'll see how things pan out. There's a lot to do. It's going to be interesting. I think for now, what I really would like to say is, please, please, please don't jump to conclusions too early. I feel like, especially among the Arsenal community, every single time we have one bad game, people jump to conclusions. They want Arteta directly out. They think we should change everything. And I understand it's a difficult season. We are a little bit victims of our own success, because we have come twice very close to winning the title. So I understand people are very, very impatient. It's been a long, long time since we have been close or even won the title. But it doesn't bring anything to anyone if we simply jump to conclusions after every single game. We have one okay game, good game. People think we're back in the title race and we're going to go on a run, unbeaten 15 games. Then we have a bad game and people feel like, oh, the experiment doesn't work. Arteta doesn't know what he's doing. We should get rid of 7 players. We should buy 5 new ones. We need to focus on ourselves and the evolution and tendencies in general, in my opinion, which means making sure we do our thing. We improve step by step. We are still stable in the back. We need to find a couple of creative points. That's correct. We have tried a couple of experiments with Trossards. We have one years. We have Marino. We have Jorginho, who we have barely seen. And we need to make sure that our front line starts to find their options. For me, as long as we get to opportunities, that's already a positive sign. Then it's about the finishing. I start getting concerned once we do not even get opportunities anymore. And so far, we do get opportunities. We just need to bury them. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope we find our form again. We find the creativity. Maybe send them to Dubai to do a 2 weeks training camp. Whatever helps. I'm all in for it. And then it's going to be an interesting. Well, we have had 1/3, so it's going to be interesting 2/3 of the rest of the season for sure. So thank you very much for listening, for watching. Subscribe if you want to read or hear more, and I'll see you in the next one. I would really appreciate a like, and have a great day. Thank you very much. Ciao.